Hey Gemsies, welcome back to my channel. We've got another video. Anthony O'Neill, I absolutely love his channel, and he has RC Blakes, I believe, on his table. What's it called? The Table. I remember there was a time a subscriber mentioned the name RC Blakes. I personally am not really familiar with his content or his message, but I do know he has something called Queenology or something like that. But yeah, I haven't had the chance to listen to any of his messages, but I did see a snippet of his conversation with Anthony on Instagram, and I thought it was quite interesting. So I found it on YouTube, so we're going to just watch it together. So yeah, if you do enjoy this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and also hit the subscribe button. We are Gen Z. We are creating a generation of marriageable women. So if that sounds like you, just come join us. Just come join us. And if you are a gentleman, come, because this is the place for you. Soon and very soon, you will be finding some marriageable women here. Okay, so let's just get right into it. Wow, I am glowing. Or should I say shining? All right, let's go.
I am controlling when I'm like, hey, listen, and I'll just say it, this is my show. Say, hey man, tell them other niggas I'm coming for you. I'm gonna be real, bitch. I was like, come on, tell them other niggas I'm coming for you. And I was like, that sounds controlling. And I'm like, no, I'm not controlling. I'm letting you know my intention.
Yeah, that's called alpha.
Oh boy.
No cap, about to get a plate, pull up to the table. Let's go.
Yo, today's show's gonna be a little different, man. So I actually want to start off a little different today because I want to save the majority of today's show to really dive in and to learn. Today, we're not gonna really talk about money. We're gonna really talk about really our consciousness on both the women's side, our queen side, and the brother side. We're gonna really dive in. We're gonna talk
He
about
didn't
some
say kings.
really understanding men and women better. Because now, while I said we will not talk about per se money, but who we connect ourselves with does impact our money in the future. And I believe having healthy relationships impacts our tomorrow. And you all know, man, I have no shame in my game saying that I am ready for marriage.
Okay.
I am seeking marriage, and I'm dating with the intentions of marriage.
Good.
I mean, I've been going through some things, and I called in a friend, someone who I look at as a spiritual father in this space of relationships. There's a lot of relationship experts out there who are single, who are really not teaching from the word.
Okay.
And they're just teaching from their personal, understandings of past mistakes and past experiences. And I'm not knocking none of them. But when I look at marriages and when I look at relationship people, you better be married.
Right.
I need you married. I need you happily married. I need you having good sex with your wife, with your husband. I
Amen
need you
to that.
happy. So when you're giving me advice, I know you've experienced it all. The ups, the downs, the times you thought about giving up, and the good days. So that way when you're talking to me, you give me life. So today, y'all, we have the one and only RC Blakes is in
The Hizzle
building. And I met him for the first time a few months ago at my good friend's conference, Dr. Arisha Hiri out of Houston, Texas. And I've been heard of him. Like, I was a huge fan of his ministry. But this brother he is a teacher. I'm not gonna say he's a preacher because I think preacher puts you in one category. No, this man can teach, and he makes the word of God so practical to us everyday people.
Right.
So even if you ain't a Christian,
That's good.
you're gonna really love what he has to say today. So I'm telling you right now, get your notepad, get your pen, because brothers, he's coming for us today too. Ladies, you already know how he roll. But before we get to the man of the hour, two quick things. I want to just thank today's sponsors because we could not have RC Blakes in the building without thanking my good friends over at Church Hill. Church Hill is
One
partnering with
moment.
$100,000 to $300,000 to $500,000 a year just by simply getting a certificate in tech. And Bethel Tech's gonna walk you throughout that entire process for 9 months. And after that 9-month process, man, you can get a job making $100,000 a year. So listen, go to anthonyoneil.com/Bethel, because I promise you, we are going to help you change your life financially. So check out my friends today, Church Hill and Bethel Tech, because they're going to bless you. But now let's get to the man of the hour today. RC, how are you doing, sir?
Man, I am absolutely fantastic.
Man,
I can't believe I'm sitting at the table.
No, sir, I can't believe that you're at the table.
It's such an honor.
No, man, I thank you for coming.
You do such an amazing job, man.
I'm just trying to get to your level. No, you've been teaching the gospel for how long now?
40 years, man.
Oh, wow.
I was 18 years old.
18.
Wow.
Now.
You don't have the swag of a 58-year. You got the swag of like a 35, 40.
That's because I hang around people like you.
He's got a
Well, we
sense
know
of
you do
humor.
have a heart for people and the young people for sure.
Absolutely.
So you're definitely known in the gospel space.
Correct.
Okay.
But then now you're even more well known in the YouTube and just really young people, millennial relationship space. When
Okay.
did you develop a heart for? You're known as the Queenology guy,
Yeah.
teaching Queenology.
Queenology.
When did you develop a heart for that?
So, man, I'm on Facebook, and this is a Saturday night. I'm preparing for Sunday morning. I'm getting ready to meet the church the next morning, and I'm listening to this. I'm reading this post of this young woman. She's clearly educated. You can tell by the language and the punctuation, and her message is great. She's like, to all the ladies out there, I want to encourage you to use your education, use your brains, use your connections, use your vision to get ahead in life. And if all else fails, I don't know if I can say it like she actually wrote it, but she said, fall back on your
booty.
Your booty.
Oh yeah, I said booty.
Yeah, well, okay, I'm glad you said it first.
On your booty.
Said, fall back on your booty. And so, man, I'm
Okay.
sitting there as a father of 3 young women,
Okay.
and as a spiritual father of congregations of women.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's going on here?
What
Where
does
is
that
this coming
mean?
from? How have our women come to a point where they're using sexuality as a success strategy
Right.
in a day and time when they're more educated than ever?
Mhm.
And Holy Spirit said to me, she's not had the father-daughter talk. And so
Oh.
that was my first book that I wrote to the empowerment of women, the father-daughter talk.
Okay.
And I did not expect that it was going to become a whole movement.
Mhm.
And then it evolved into Queenology, developing the consciousness of a queen.
Mm.
What does
Okay.
God say about you? Who are you in the eyes of God? Not what does the world say, not what is culture saying, but what does God say?
So when we talk about the Queenology and the consciousness of Queenology, because we know you talk about this on your show, on your YouTube channel.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to drop his information in today's show notes, just in case if you have not heard of R.C. Blake. A wealth of information over there. So we'll drop that information below. But what does Queenology mean
Tell
to
us.
the typical woman watching right now?
It's bringing the woman to a place where she can accept God's definition of her.
Okay.
Because when you look at the world today, you have a myriad of voices that are attempting to redefine the woman. So the woman is listening to, male influencers. The woman is listening to the culture. The woman is listening to the broken sisterhood, the other women around her,
Okay.
as it relates to who she is and what she should be or strive for. But we have to bring the woman back to God's original plan, the Genesis plan
Right.
of her being a co-equal in dominion. And so Queenology is bringing that woman back to consciousness of God's original plan, and then renewing her mind to a place or to a point where she accepts her destiny. And she's
Okay.
able to, watch this, stand happily and healthily, if that's a word,
Right.
in her individuality,
Okay.
where she's not like the typical woman who only views herself as a success within the context of a relationship to a man.
So would you say
Okay.
then a lot of our ladies, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just following you here. Would you say that a lot of our ladies have been operating with a broken consciousness?
Absolutely.
Break that down for us.
Absolutely, man.
How is that then?
Well,
I haven't stopped it because I'm trying to wrap my mind around what it is that he's saying. I don't want to jump to any conclusions or anything like that. I'm trying to approach this objectively, and basically, I just want to know his mindset or what it is that he's teaching. That's why I'm like absorbing it, and I'm quite quiet. So yeah, I will speak when I need to speak. So let's just keep it going.
I'm following you, and I'm like, okay, so that means I don't want to get in no trouble. But I'm like,
Well,
and
I
that means
say-
that a
I
lot
say
of
it all
ladies
the time.
they have broken consciousness.
broken consciousness. When you open up the social media, in particularly Instagram for me,
Right.
it's like every other posting you see, a woman is naked.
Mm,
They're either naked or they have something so sheer they may as well have nothing on.
right.
What is that?
Mm.
That's broken consciousness.
Okay.
When you see women who exercise what I call mascara therapy, where
Mascara.
Huh?
where they paint up the outside to cover up the pain on the inside. All of these labels and brands they really can't afford.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
$4,000 purse and it's
Right.
empty.
Right.
Overstuffed closet.
Mhm.
And I often say that overstuffed closet is quite often the evidence of an empty heart.
Right.
Broken consciousness. Have everything in the world. They have the education. They have the money. They have They're reaching the goals, but they're personally miserable. They have
Right.
not locked.
Okay, I think I'm getting where he's coming from. Finding our identity in Christ, being content of our value and our worth in Christ, like who we were created to be. Now, I always say that there is our identity, but there's also our image, how we portray ourselves, and our identity, untouchable. That's what Christ, died on the cross for us. However, how we preserve that identity becomes our image, how people perceive us. The way we carry ourselves is so important. And I always did wonder why lots of women are showing more and more skin these days. One will say that it's confidence, but in my mind, I think I agree with him that it is an empty soul. They're empty inside because what they're trying to fill that space with is just that external validation, external acknowledgement, because their insides are absolutely empty. Now, I want to see what he's going to say the solution is. So I'm not going to interject just yet, but I just thought we'd put those things. I just thought I'll add those two things, the identity and the image, because I think I've broken this down in a couple of my videos here on YouTube already, but I don't want this video to be too long of me just talking before he gets to the good stuff, because I know he will. I'm waiting for that clip that I saw on Instagram, but yeah, let's keep going.
In on, nor have they truly accepted the Creator's estimation of them. Broken consciousness.
You said something that they have all this stuff on the outside. So they have the beauty, they have the brains, they have the success.
Yeah.
But internally, they're miserable, they're hurt.
Correct.
And I'm scared to ask this question because I think you're going to answer it the way that I think you're going to answer it. And then that means that I play a role in the lack of the consciousness of a woman. I play a role in her broken consciousness.
Correct.
I play a role as a man internally. And you just said correct.
Correct. I know where you're going. And correct.
How is it? Like how do we as men play a role into it?
Well,
are we to blame for their internal?
I personally believe we are. When you look at scripture,
wow.
And scripture says the head of the man is God.
Right.
And the head of the woman is the man. Well, we typically use that we view that text as
in a marital.
But the reality is God supplied the man everything he needed to be.
Yeah.
Right.
And then God reached into the man
and pulled out the woman.
Extracted a woman.
Okay.
The man supplied Eve with everything she needed to be.
Okay.
So if the woman is broken, if the woman is deficient, the situation does not mend itself beginning with the woman. We have to go back to where she came from. And that's out of us. Wow. The purest reflection of the man is the quality of his woman. So if my woman is broken, if my wife Lisa is broken, that is on my watch.
Okay, so I get that. I get where he's going from. So he's talking about a possession point of view. So when you actually are committed to a woman or you are with a woman, I understand that you would be responsible to a certain degree for, their brokenness, blah, 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 basically how you treat them. I want to know what he's going to say the solution is for those who, let's say, have had several relationships with men, especially these days where there is this world of sexual liberation. The more bodies you have, the more experience, the more confident you are, supposedly. I don't get it, but we're going to have a whole video on that at some point. I would like to hear what he has to say about that, because I hope he won't go down the route where the woman doesn't have any responsibility because she was pulled out of a man. So I want to see, because then as women, we are left as being like children, But again, I'm not going to put words in his mouth. I just want to see where he's going.
If the Black woman is broken in the Black community, we as men can't gather together in little bands and groups and riot or march on womanhood.
Yeah.
We have to own that. When God gave me this message, Queenology, well, you have to go back into my history. People say, well, why is he so passionate about empowering women.
Okay.
But when I was a younger guy, man, I was a womanizer.
Absolutely.
Oh.
I mean, just complete. It's horrible. Grew up in the church,
Yep.
son of the pastor.
Yep.
I was
Oh.
a teenage father out of wedlock, clearly. Called to ministry.
Okay.
Still carrying on my womanizing ways.
Okay.
And then one day, man, God got a hold of me, and God actually grew me up, and I evolved as a man.
Right.
And the first thing that I wanted to do when I actually evolved as a man, if it were at all possible, was to go back into my history and apologize to all of the women I had broken.
Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately, that was not possible.
Right.
Most of them would not hear me anyway.
Right.
And so I committed myself to doing what was ever necessary to mend the clear brokenness of women's hearts today. That is
Okay.
as a consequence of, what we're taught as men. Because when I came along, I don't know about your generation, but when I came along, Uncle would take you in the back as a young man, and he would say, boy, this is how you get the girl. This is how you
Absolutely.
game. This is how you
Mhm.
get the girl,
Yeah.
And then he'll go inside and he'll take the little sisters or the little cousins, the little female cousins, and say, girl, keep your dress down and keep your panties up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, we were kind
Yeah.
of conditioned
Confused.
for this dysfunction.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where the man becomes the predator, the woman becomes the prey,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and the man breaks the woman, and so I think every man that is really looking at society and looking at life honestly and sincerely has to say that we have played a major role. We know how to psychologically manage women.
Okay.
Come on, man, we know how to do it. But we get on these public platforms and we want to act like we don't know what happened. Well, what happened to women? We happened to them. And if the
Okay.
woman is ever going to be mended and repaired, it's going to start with our acknowledging what we've done and fulfilling our role as men, and that is to heal the hearts of these women.
How? Okay. When I listen to preachers, I always say how. And because he happens to be one, I'm just like, okay, how do we do this? I get it that they're part of the problem because, but then I don't want the message to be it's their issue to fix. And then the woman's like, yes, you've broken me. It's down to you to fix me. Because then it leaves the woman helpless. It's like you're waiting for the perpetrator to also heal you. And I think that's a very vulnerable place to be. So yes, I do appreciate that men can also be invited into that what's it called, the process of healing. They should be, especially if they want to, but ultimately you as the woman, I stick it on women, you have a responsibility to also say, hey, I was probably I played a part in my own suffering to a certain degree. So I'm waiting. So let's keep going. I love that he's sticking it on men because there are some kind of men. There are certain kinds of men, if I can speak today, who do exactly know what they're doing, but there are amazing men out there who are also looking for these women to also take responsibility and accountability for picking those, small percentage of men who have broken them and, wife them up and then, have a healthy relationship, but they're not finding these women because they're constantly sexual liberation and hopping from man to man, trying to fill the hole. It's like the chicken or the egg, which one came first? Okay, so I'm okay. I don't want to keep rambling. I just want to know, what is a responsibility on women, especially if the man doesn't want to participate? So the man who broke her and constantly decides to break other women, because they don't have the capacity to change. If those men cannot bring themselves to join them in, obtaining closure, what is on that woman? Please, I want to know, how does that woman return back to consciousness in Christ? I want to know.
So right now you're talking to a bunch of ladies.
Yes, sir.
Are you talking to us though?
To the brothers?
To the brothers.
Yeah, man. I'm known for Queenology,
Right.
but I've also written the book Kingology.
Okay.
Okay.
I have stuff on my channel for brothers. We don't listen. And I think that I asked the Holy Spirit, I said, why is it that I can talk and women will hear me, and same guy can talk and
Right.
men don't. And I have proof of concept.
Absolutely.
I'm married 28 years. I'm happily married. I'm faithful.
Nice.
I'm all over the world.
Yeah.
I ain't got no scandals, no
Right.
no babies over in Russia and all this kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I have proof of concept.
Right. Right.
But brothers don't hear me.
Why do you think that is?
I
Okay.
think it's the dominion spirit in a man.
Okay.
All of us as men, we feel like we are the leaders.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I think, well, we all are, but I think the thing we're missing is that every man needs a man.
Okay.
God created Adam from the dust of the earth, and then Adam created his sons in his own image.
Mhm.
Every man needs the imprint of a man that's come before him and done it
Right.
successfully. And so I think the respect for the wisdom of the generation before is not there. And so we're rising up and we're feeling like, well, I'm a man, I know what I'm doing. Even as a young man, my father, the late Robert C. Blake Sr., man, dude was amazing with money, amazing with ministry, amazing. He was just a genius. But because I was so close, I really I didn't learn most of the lessons I needed to learn. Because
Okay.
I thought I knew what I was doing. Until I had a chance to do what I thought I knew I was doing, and it failed. And then I had to go back to the lessons that dude taught me. Well, I think that's a lot of why we don't listen to one another. All of
Okay.
us as men feel like we know. And it's the natural inclination of a woman to be guided by the voice of a trusted man.
Is that the natural instinct of women, or you think?
I think it's the natural inclination of a woman to be guided by the voice of a man she trusts.
Okay.
A man she trusts is key. Most
Okay.
women don't trust most men because trust is not something a woman can give you. It's something that you have to earn.
Right.
They don't trust these men, but at the same time, they're sleeping with these men. That's why I absolutely love Kevin Samuels, because it's like most of these most of these women don't want to be married to these men because of their character and all of that. But they're happy to open their legs to bring forth a human being into this world when they know the man that they're sleeping with has or lacks the capacity. Isn't that on the woman? Why, as a woman, do you find that you want to do that? Why do you want to lay with someone who lacks the capacity to be all you need him to be? Why do you not require for them to be your husband before you sleep with them? Do we lack that discipline because, one, the man was not in the home, because I don't know, this is where it's like the chicken or the egg. The women don't trust the men that they sleep with, but they sleep with them anyway, and then they bear children with them. So the man never had the capacity to be a father anyway, so he leaves. Then it leaves the woman bitter, raising the children. And now they're raising women who do not respect and trust men, and the men do not want to respect or trust other men. So isn't it back on the woman to ensure that she is very conscious and disciplined with her body, modesty, hello somebody, because it affects the children and the oncoming the generations to come. Sorry, this morning has been a lot already. I do apologize. And I'm really trying to get something. But okay, maybe he's speaking to the men, because as a woman, I'm not getting anything right yet. Just yet. Bear with me. The English is going to be all over the place. But yeah, let's just keep going.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I can speak to a generation of women because I've been here a long time.
Yeah.
I've been consistent.
Yeah.
They've seen me live with my wife. They hear my wife's testimony.
Right.
They know what you see on the outside is what's really happening on the inside. So I'm trusted.
Yeah.
And so I can say, you and I were talking, I can say some things that may,
I can't say it.
you know what I'm saying,
Right.
come across as harsh for some people, but they can receive it from me because they know I love them. They know my intent. And so when a woman can trust a man, she can receive truth from that man.
Okay. How do we trust? How do we trust then? If the man is not in the home because our mothers didn't pick well, we haven't learned to trust in a healthy way, how then do we trust? If we then require the men to save us from the predicament that we also contributed to. That's what I want to know. there's a gap there, but we're only going on 20 minutes. So let's keep going.
I think the hard part for men, and I'm gonna come from a younger man to an older, wiser, more successful man when it comes to relationships, right? Is that I was that guy. I'm a preacher's kid. You know, I was womanizer. I thought I was a father at 20 years old, 21 years old, played the father role for a year. To only find out that it wasn't mine, was in ministry, and still was a womanizer. I've hurt several ladies in the past. And as I have evolved, I was just like you. I wish I could go back and apologize. I even attempted to go back to 2 of them. One heard me, cried, and was like, thank you. I needed that release. The other one, she cussed me out.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And I totally respect that,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes.
And the others, I just said, after the second one cussed me out, I said, I'm not even going to try the others.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just going to try and do better moving forward.
Well,
one of my things that I have a problem with, Bishop, and I really want to get your thoughts on it. Tell me if I'm wrong, because I mean, I brought you here for us, and us includes me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
okay,
as
so
a man who wants to
for
listen,
men,
who wants to learn, who is ready to be married, to have 28 years, 30 years, 40 years of marriage. In the past, when I was in the womanizing space, I just approached a woman as, we're just cool, we're just friends, we're approaching. But I would say about a few months ago to maybe a year ago, I was really interested in a woman. And I said, hey, listen, up front, I told her I'm leading with intentionality. I'm ready to get married, and I'm dating for marriage.
Right.
She told me, pause.
Wow.
You're kind of, I feel a little pressured a little bit.
Right.
Let's just be friends up front. I want to marry my best friends. Let's just be friends.
Okay.
And let's just see where it naturally goes. And so as a man, Bishop, I was confused because in the beginning when I led with, let's just be friends and be cool. You know what I'm saying? Then the thought was, well, what's your intentions? What do you want to do? You're not moving with intentions.
Right.
And then over here, as I'm being very intentional, letting you know, hey, I'm dating you. I'm pursuing you. I am pursuing you with the intent of marriage. It was, hey, I feel a little pressure.
Right.
Where the disagreement came in was, and is where I need your help at, was she said that made me feel pressured. And I said, hey, as a man, if I'm going to take you serious mentally, I cannot just say we're friends and we're seeing where it can go. Because if I look at you that way mentally, then if another woman comes,
right?
And, I know you seen my show. She got the booty and she got the Bible. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be like, hey, since we're just friends, right? Like, I can't call you just friends, but I shouldn't make you feel pressured neither.
No.
Love that, Anthony. I think you were right on the ball with that. I know that's exactly how myself and my husband, we started off. It was because I was looking for marriage. He was looking for marriage. So basically a mutual friend connected us two. And I only wanted to speak to people who were intentionally dating or being in a relationship or courting for marriage. And that's exactly what he was looking for. So I didn't feel that pressure there. And even prior to this, I was just moving with that intentionality. The first question I would ask is, what are your intentions? And I would have appreciated a man like Anthony, because of course, when you say, let's just see where it goes, it sounds great. But then that is exactly what he said. There will be other people around who are moving with intentionality, and you, that woman, will miss the ball. You'll miss this amazing opportunity. Now, I think the reason why women say they feel the pressure is because, one, most of the time they're not ready. They're not ready to move with that intentionality because there's that seriousness about it. There's that, okay, I need to focus like a laser on the outcomes that I say that I want. I sound like Kevin. Love him. I miss him so much. But it's true. When you know that you've met someone who is serious, different from the past men that you have dated, this person wants the thing that you say you want. There's a sense of like, ooh, can I do it? Your inadequacies, your fears, your insufficiencies. Oh my God, this person's serious. This could be serious. We could potentially just be married in under a year. That's what happened with us. And I think a lot of women are not ready for that. A lot of women say they're ready for it, but there is that fear attached to it where it's like, wow, we're going to be married and there's no way out. It's a one-way ticket into this institution. And so I think that's probably what it was that, made her panic and labeled it as, I don't want to feel pressure. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong knowing from the get-go that both of you are looking for marriage. And then as you're in the day-to-day interactions, as you're interacting day to day, if there are certain behaviors that are making you feel pressure, then you can, dissect it a little bit further to see, or should I say explore it a little bit better, just to see why you're feeling that way with the person that you're speaking to. However, just feeling the pressure and then thinking that that is a red flag or something like that, I think that's when women, we shoot ourselves in the foot, because exactly how Anthony said, then you've left the door wide open. But at the same time, this woman wants you to make her feel special, like she's the only one. But then at the same time, you're just a friend. So it's like, women, what do you want? I like that he said that. And I love that he's still approaching the dating market like that. I think he's going to find someone who's exactly on that ball very, very soon, Anthony. Praying for you.
What should I have done differently? Because I'm trying to make sure that I am not hurting ladies anymore.
Yeah.
But both scenarios seem like I still hurt the woman. So what should men do differently who are trying to progress forward and move forward the right way? But then when we get approached with that, how should we deal with that?
Well, I don't think you should internalize that.
Good.
I don't think you should internalize her saying to you and responding to your decisiveness as a man as though it's a negative.
Right.
That has no negative
connotation
relative to you at all. What it does for me, just listening to it, is it speaks again to the broken consciousness of this generation of women.
Yep.
That when a man actually steps up, with the Genesis model, where Adam meets Eve for the first time and she's naked. And the first thing he does is he makes love to her mind. He says, "You're a woman." When he calls a woman,
you come out
man
from
in
me.
the womb, you're my equivalent. You come out of me. He was decisive. But when a generation of women are broken, they don't even know how to respond to a healthy man.
This is it. It's like they love it. He's speaking to me now. I love that, because these same women say they want a man who is forward. They want a man who is like forthright and all of this good stuff and the alpha male, But when they have someone who internalizes this or shows this or portrays this, it's like, you're controlling, you're trying to add pressure to my life, So I think most women have a fictional idea of what a masculine man is, or a king, or whatever, So, and they haven't addressed their fears and all of those like trauma or their conditioning. So when you put all of that together, a masculine man is coming to you, a healthy man is coming to you, what you actually want. But because you haven't addressed your fears, your traumas, all of that, you are viewing this man through a lens of brokenness. I love that R.C. Blakes mentioned that Anthony shouldn't internalize this decision from, or should I say the feedback from these women as something that's negative. I absolutely love that he said that. I don't think his approach needs to change whatsoever, because he will find someone who is on the board, someone like me, who wants a man who is just like, I want this. And I'm like, okay, sir, thank you. Hello, Bobby. I'm excited because it's so amazing being with such a healthy and masculine man, I feel like I feel like a rib that fits into that perfect place. Anywho, I think I'm getting too excited. Anywho, let's keep going.
And so all you can do with that, because I think you're absolutely correct, a woman that says to you, well, let's be friends, doesn't realize that she's putting you in the friend zone. And to put you in the friend zone is to put you in the friend mindset.
But she said she wasn't saying that.
Yeah, but that's what she was saying. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what she was saying. Because how can a woman see a young man, successful, good looking, Christian, love God, ready for commitment, and say, well, let's slow this down. Come on, man. That speaks to the need for men like you and I having these conversations, because our women have been broken and conditioned and don't even realize it.
Right.
They don't even know how to respond to healthy guys. There's this thing called type.
Yep.
That I just struggle with women all of the time. They don't want to get away from this thing called
Type, yeah.
And, you know, my statement is you've been getting your type for the last decade. And where has it gotten you?
Exactly.
Where has it gotten you? So there has to be a point where the mind is renewed and where we bring women back to a place.
And this is the thing. They know all the ins and outs of their type, but the mind doesn't transcend over that to ask, what's my type's type? And am I his type? We don't ask that because, one, we do not want to put the effort into being that type for our type, you know? And this is exactly what Anthony was saying. Anthony was this lady's type because she hasn't sat down to really understand that man at the end of this type that I have, he also has requirements and things that they're looking for. And I always say that be a wife right now. Learn to be a wife right now. It starts from the mindset so that whilst you're on your merry way, you can be plucked. Hello. By the man that you say you want. You don't wait to then have a masculine man like this say, hey, these are my intentions. And then like, you know, you have to be the wife now, you know, and that comes with addressing our fears. You know, sometimes women say, oh, it's my intuition to. No, most of the time it's fear of the unknown, fear of actually attaining the things that you want. No one really speaks about feeling inadequate or feeling like, oh, do I deserve this? Oh, should I be here? When you are in a healthy relationship, when you are basking in the blessings that God has, you know, bestowed upon you. When you are walking in an answered prayer, sometimes there can be that feeling of like imposter syndrome, especially if you've come from a place where you haven't had great relationships and now you have an amazing person. Sometimes there comes a time, oh gosh, bear with. All right. There comes a time where you just feel like, wow, should I be here? But that's when you need to quiet that spirit, or should I say, have that conversation with your spirit and let them know that, you know what, yes, I do need to be here because I have put in the work and my husband will be getting a healthy woman out of me. You know, we have to have those kind of conversations. That's why I do what I do. And we're building this generation of marriageable women, because I do want women to get back to the point where they do know how to recognize healthy and they step away from the society or the world's view of what masculinity should be, this brash and, you know, and then you end up picking the same emotionally unavailable men that you say you do not want, you know? But yeah, let's keep going. This is getting juicy. Let's go.
Of consciousness.
And what can we do as men to help that process begin?
Be the example. Acknowledge the trauma we create on a daily basis. We know what we're doing. We get in front of these cameras on YouTube and we say the things we say to these women. We know we're damaging these women. More women have to hear men be honest and say, well, this was not right. That wasn't right. And I think as women hear that and internalize it, the healing begins. The most important thing we can do as men is to really step up in terms of fathering our daughters.
Ooh.
You may not be able to help your generation, but you can definitely plant seed into the next generation, really intentionally pouring into the self-esteem of your daughters. Because I was kind of raised up in that generation where they said, well, 3 girls, 1 boy, 4 kids. Well, they said, well, you know, daughters are a mama's job, sons are daddy's job. So you just finance the girls and just let them. And then it was later on in life that I realized that the sense of identity, the sense of security, the sense of self-esteem, the father pours that into the girl.
Oh yeah, my dad's a pastor, so disciplined, so principled. And I remember, like, I always say this, when he was teaching me how to be resilient, how to be disciplined, how to be proactive. Boy, the inception of those character traits was not a fun place to be. I did not like my dad when he was trying to instill, you know, the seed of these traits in me. But now when I look back, I'm like, thank you so much for, you know, giving me this blessing, because when I look at grown-ups, adults who lack discipline, who lack tenacity, who lack resilience, and all of that stuff, like proactivity, I'm like, it's not your faults. It's not your faults. Because I know as an adult, it's very hard to be a self-starter if you haven't had that seed like shoved in you from a young age. So I'm so grateful for my dad in my life. My mom taught me how to be an amazing woman, but my dad, I think that's why I love to be very objective as much as I can. When the time of the month comes, I can be quite emotional. However, for the most part, I can be quite logical and I can be quite objective. Or I try to have a healthy balance so that I'm not stemming too much into my principles, because I can be quite, but it's like, if I know this is right, it's very hard to move me off course, if that makes sense. You have to really, really be able to penetrate my mind in order to persuade me otherwise. And even with that, it takes a lot. And I think that's all because of my dad's input in my upbringing. So there's 2 boys and 1 girl, and I'm in the middle. And also being a pastor's daughter, that's also another thing. So I absolutely love that he said that. Now, what happens? This is when it comes back to the women, as in the mothers. If the mother does not give space for the man or the father to be present in the child's life, then what? I mean, how far could the man push? I know, in Ghana, there aren't these laws to really, parameters around it. But I find that in the West, the woman can call the police on you, and it can, mess up your whole record and all of that. So at what point, there's that fine line where the man wants to be in their daughter or their son's life, but there's this obstacle course. So I always say it comes back to the women, ladies, stop being bitter and resentful, especially when you've had children, because this is not the time. It's not about you. Your time has passed. It's about your children. If the man wants to be in your child's life, as in both of your child's life, please set aside your ego, your bitterness, and accept that you made a mistake. It's not about you anymore. It's about that child. I always say this is very important for us as mothers to, do that. But yeah, let's keep going.
Yes.
So every man should step up in terms of how he fathers his daughters, his nieces, the young girls in the church, esteeming them and building them. And, if this message can, and I'm listening to more brothers, I'm listening to more brothers that are coming out with a real balanced approach to manhood. They say, well, you either have simps or pimps, but there's another category called kings. And kings are men who know how to manage kingdoms.
Right.
They're not managed by women like simps. They don't need to manipulate women like pimps. They are wise managers of kingdoms.
Right.
They know how to identify and work with queens. And so these are, we have to simply be our best version as men. I think this generation of women they need to see more examples of authentic manhood.
And this is when I love what he's doing. And I always say this on my channel again, messages like this, there are 2 women, there are 2 types of women. It will absolutely empower one and it will enable the other. Enable in the sense that she will automatically think she's a queen. Meanwhile, she has not demonstrated anything that shows that queenship, but will demand that she has a king. Meanwhile, moving around in life, picking simps and pimps. So my message is always for the women who are moving with entitlement and thinking that they're these queens and whatnots. When in actual fact, if you were a queen, you would have been picked by a king, And sometimes being on this side of the camp doesn't necessarily mean that, you have these toxic traits or you are toxic or whatever. Sometimes it's just unaddressed conditioning, the mindset. not really understanding your fears, moving with people pleasing, codependency, not really knowing your worth and your value in Christ, even that alone can become a toxic place for you, because what that means is you're dimming your light and you're picking people based off of your own fears and inadequacies, so it can still breed, or it can still become a breeding ground for picking toxic people in your life. So either way, it enables. That's why I always want to help women go from the enabling camp to the empowering camp, where it starts with becoming more self-aware, starts with becoming more taking more accountability and taking responsibility for your life, because we're humans, we're adults, we have agency over our lives. And as much as life has on us, it's up to us to say, do you know what, enough is enough, and I want better for myself. We have to come to a point where enough is enough for us and we want better, and that starts from us. Yes, the men can help, but most of the time it has to start from us. Yeah? Let's keep going.
Not this propaganda that we have out here today.
For men like myself, and then I want to go back to the really understanding the consciousness of our queens. For men like myself, young men who I've publicly said I've done ladies wrong.
Yes, sir.
And I publicly apologize for hurting them in the past. And I am in a different season of my life to where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to do the right thing.
Yes, sir.
And I'm ready for marriage. I'm ready to be intentional. But I'm always compared to the other men.
Come on, man.
Who are not that. I always got to deal with you're just like everyone else. Or how do I date as a single person when I got to compete with what the other man did who was once me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I will say something from a woman's point of view. I think you just have to remain grounded, sweetheart. Just remain grounded. You can't let what they're saying, or not you can't, because you can, try not to allow what they're saying to deter you, because it might just be an invitation of their projection of, their own fears, As much as they know you could be a great guy, their own fear is thinking maybe you're just like every other guy. That doesn't say that you are just like every other guy. You are still you. So you need to know that you're operating from a pure place. You're being as authentic as possible. Maybe that will also mean you might have to communicate a lot more, fill in the gaps. So when you are compared to these other men, you say, no, I am my own person. And when I say X, this is what I mean. And, let your words and your actions match. That's just how you can be. But if you're going to move around in life, these women, these kind of statements can really manipulate the situation, because it pushes you onto the defensive side where you're always constantly trying to prove yourself instead of just being, So I think just accept and acknowledge and love the person that you are becoming, and know that there is someone out there, a lot of people out there who would appreciate someone like you who is that forthright and that intentional and that straightforward, and trying to be as authentic as possible and trying to communicate their intentions as possible. That's what you can be, darling. That's all you can be, Anthony. Let's keep going. I want to hear what RC has to say.
Like, do I give up? Do I deal with sometimes our ladies respectfully can be disrespectful towards a good man because of past hurt.
Blatantly disrespectful.
No, because they are disrespectful. That's it. Yes, because of past hurt, but they themselves are also disrespectful. I think we need to be able to separate the two. Yes, shits has happened to some of us, but that does not mean we need to stoop low to be disrespectful, especially if it's uncalled for. A lot of women lack boundaries. A lot of women lack, exercise and control over this buccal cavity over here. I think I have a video on verbal abuse where I did a reaction to one of Real Femme Sapiens videos, calling it exactly as it is. Women will shame, insult, guilt trip you because they have lost emotional control of the conversation. they're operating from a place of fear. Sorry, they're operating from a place of fear. So maybe all they know is how to be disrespectful because they feel like, you're coming into a vulnerable place in their life, because they haven't addressed their past wounds. That's on women to do. Yes, the men can help, but it's on the women to do that work. If you are moving in life being a disrespectful person, being a rude person, always on guard, resting bitch face, who does that hurt? It just hurts you. You just become an unpleasant person. It doesn't affect me sitting here in the UK, like if you hear some of the things that people have gone through, but they're the most pleasant and joyful people because they didn't let those circumstances damp down the light in them. And I think that was something that I always wanted to emulate since I was a child. I never wanted the world to zap out my light, my joy, because I'm a very jovial person. That's just how we were all raised. So anytime I feel as though, certain kind of emotions. I remember when resentment and bitterness started to brew in me. It was such a foreign emotion for me. I was like, why? What is this? It's because I had suppressed so much emotions, and it had birthed this resentment and bitterness because it was so foreign, And it was all because I lacked boundaries. I didn't know how to communicate my needs and my wants because I was a people pleaser, because I was codependent, because I didn't know how to have, all these head-on conversations. So in order to maintain peace meant I would suppress my emotion, and not knowing that this is a breeding ground for resentment and bitterness. But that's on me to sort out because I don't want my light to dim. So women need to operate from a place of not also wanting their light to dim or igniting a light to begin with, because most women are dark and empty inside. So how can we expect them to emit any light whatsoever? So, it sticks back on women. But I love this conversation and I love where it's going. He's speaking to men, but we're learning so many gems. So if you are enjoying it, oh my God, if you are enjoying this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up because I'm enjoying it. I'm really, really enjoying it. Let's keep going. Is the battery okay? Let's see. Hello. Hey. All right, let's keep going.
Oh, you said blatantly. I said respectfully. He said, RC said blatantly. Because I'm telling you, I've been told you're insecure. Mm-hmm. I've been told that I am controlling when I'm like, hey, listen. And I'll just say, this is my show. Say, hey, man, tell them all the niggas, I'm coming for you. I'm going to be real, bitch. I was like, tell them all the niggas, I'm coming for you. And I was like, that sounds controlling. And I'm like, no, I'm not controlling. I'm letting you know my intention. Yeah, that's alpha. Come on, you know what I'm saying, bitch? Come on, RC is my guy. Yeah. RC, you know that this. Oh, listen, man, you know my story. Come on, RC.
I said to my wife, hey, we have been dating for years. I said, I don't think I'm getting married. My wife went on and she left. She didn't ask me why. She didn't beg me to stay.
Wife just left.
She left. Got another boyfriend.
Yeah.
He was a big league baseball player.
Yeah.
Well, long story short, I come to this point where I realize God says, that's your wife. Oh, I called my wife. Now, this dude's a multimillionaire. I'm broke at the time. But I called my wife and I said, hey, tell a little baseball boy going about his business. You my wife.
Come on, RC.
Because that's how men step when men know what they want. But nobody's teaching the daughters this. So they don't even know how to recognize or respond to the, to the.
Did your wife receive that as controlling?
No. Right.
Did she receive that as narcissist?
No.
How did she, because I don't remember that part of the story. How did she receive that when you told her that?
She said, okay. Because she knew I was her husband.
This is it. Healthy women love it when men lead and want to lead and enjoy leading. So it won't be seen as controlling because we've already accepted our femininity. We know that we're helpmates. How can you be a helpmate with no mate? You know what I'm saying? Oh, I love that. Let's keep going.
She said, okay. because she knew I was her husband. You see what I think, and I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
You may
no.
not have finished your question.
No, do it.
But what I think we're struggling with today is this confusion of, masculinity and femininity.
Yep.
And one of the things that I'm trying to teach men and women today is how to understand. Sometimes women are so in their masculine that they don't know how to receive a masculine man. A man steps to her in a masculine fashion like you just described. Oh, you're controlling. When the reality is that's a moment for her to step into her femininity and receive that and let you drive.
They don't know how to step into their femininity. This is why we're here. They see femininity as weak, when in actual fact, femininity has so much power. I was like, I get everything I want when I'm in my femininity, because that is just my default. That's my happy place. And it makes the dynamic of our marriage, it's just thriving. Ugh. I miss him. Anywho, let's keep going.
Women don't know how to, many women, let's put it that way, don't know how to let a real man drive. This is how you're constantly stuck with clowns and crowns. And the kings are slipping.
Anthony, that's the face. That is the face. Honestly, yeah. Like when I'm listening to TD Jakes, this is the face I'll put up like, because you feel it just moving through your veins, like, oh. I love how animated he is, because that's just how I am. Oh God, keep it going.
Through your fingers. It's because kings like yourself are only going to settle with queens, and queens are the equivalent of the king, but she's the female feminine version.
Yes, man.
And see, that feminine masculine thing is like a delicate dance.
Yeah.
And when a woman shows up masculine with a masculine man, it's always a clash. But when a woman is feminine, she knows how to move and respond and flow with the masculinity of that man. And that's the woman that brings a king the kind of peace and rest that he's looking for.
Yeah. And they know how to receive, ladies. We have to learn to bask in the elements of like receiving. There's a way, what should I say? It's not a way. Is it like there's a dance to it? You're so observant, you see where the masculine is coming, so you flow here and flow there. It's like a jigsaw. You just like mesh like this. You know how to say thank you. You know how to take in compliments and all of that. And you know how to give as well. I know as women, we like to give. Sometimes we also have to learn how to receive, to take in, your insides, receive. A lot of women know how to receive the D, but don't know how to receive a masculine man with all of his energy. That's what we need to learn. And that's what I want my channel to be about. Just letting women learn and enjoy receiving and resting in their femininity. But that stems from learning how to be feminine. I might have to go, it's not I will go into more details about, practical ways of being feminine. And most of the time, not even most of the time, the core of it all is being healed so that you can just be, that is where it starts from. So obviously I will try to do more videos where I'm helping women to learn and fall in love with just being themselves, and not being themselves in that toxic state, but returning back to the self that was, granted to us by God, or blessed and bestowed upon us, being healthy stewards of that. But that takes a lot of unpacking, that takes a lot of unlearning, that takes a lot of like healing, going to therapy, addressing our wounds, our traumas, our conditioning, and looking in the mirror and saying, wow, I'm actually full of crap. That's when we can start receiving in a healthy way, but let's keep going.
That's why Queenology is so important to the world.
You got a course?
I do. I do. It's right there at my website.
Teach me.
We're gonna put that course on there, and that's all I'm gonna say, because I think our ladies need to hear that.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm just being vulnerable on my own show, and I'm not even trying to get emotional, because I'm like, man, sometimes I think that there's something wrong with me when I know, there's only two men I listen to when it comes to, or three men I listen to when it comes to the relationship space. Actually, all three of them was very spiritual. You, Dr. Tony Evans, and my boy Tony Gaskins Jr.
Absolutely.
Those are the only three that, like, okay, what they say, I can take that to the grave when it comes to
Absolutely.
relationship stuff,
Right.
in a relationship space. And Tony Evans is really not in a relationship space, but he's been married for longer than I've been alive.
He's lived it.
So it's like, whenever he talks about that, I'm like, all right, cool, bet. And then my boy Tony Gaskins Jr., I'm like, okay, I'm listening.
I know Tony Evans, yeah.
And it's like, man, as I'm getting what I'm saying
Yes, sir.
in today's day and time, it's from you all. It's like, okay, cool. Lead with intentionality.
I wonder
Let him
how
know
old he
what's
is,
right. Absolutely.
Anthony.
Be honest and transparent. Put action behind your words.
Correct.
But then when we get pushed back with, I was even told, what did she say? She said that, every time I say something, you get into defense mode. And I told her, I said, I do. I said, because every time I say something, you're saying I'm insecure, I'm controlling, I'm this. And I'm like, wait, I'm confused, because my mentors say lead like this. But then today's ladies are saying completely opposite.
Correct.
I love that. This is when it's that emotional manipulation. They're trying to get you on the defense. I've mentioned this before. But what you need to do is be grounded where you are, so that when they say you're being defensive, no, what it is this isn't defensive-ness. This is this is moving with intentionality. Case closed, case die. That's it. You don't go back and forth with women. It's a feminine trait. Women love that back tit for tat. Can't exercise this thing. So, just one word answers, because you know what's working in you. You know what's up here. You know your intentions are right. You know you're trying to move with authenticity. So what you're not going to do is tell me what I'm thinking up here. I will tell you that, no, these are my intentions. If it's coming across as controlling, well, I do apologize for that, but these are my intentions. It just means we're not aligned.
So I'm like, one thing, let's get back to this queenology. For the brothers who are watching, what's the first thing we need to do for ourselves?
Okay.
Brothers?
For brothers.
I think we have to detox. You know what I mean? Because there's so many things that we've been trained or made to believe equate to manhood. Like sexuality.
Yep.
Like right now today, to be quite honest with you, even in the Christian context, if a young man is 18, 19, 20 years old, talking about he's a virgin, first thing we're going to say is, oh, he's gay.
Yep.
Gay.
Yep.
Maybe the brother
And the women will say he's gay.
living his life based on principles.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But where do we get this from? This is the kind of stuff we actually teach. So I think we have to detox. Then I think we have to connect ourselves to mentors and examples
Right.
of people who
To
are
keep us
really
grounded,
doing it
yep.
right. And then, so detox, connect to mentors, pray for God to give you as
Right.
a man, pray for God to give you your clear vision.
Right. I'll just add this one in there as well, Anthony. I don't think you should interpret or try not to, I'm trying to choose my words very carefully, because I'm not trying to thrust or project anything onto you. But what I want to do is say that try not to interpret these women walking away or projecting their own view of you as what is. Try not to see it as I'm failing in life, or what my mentors are teaching me isn't working because the outcomes are not, showing as that. The truth of the matter is, maybe they weren't really in your, future like that. That's why they're showing themselves like that. And I think it probably needs to be so extreme, so that when the woman who comes into your life to receive this, it's like, oh, all the lights are on her, like, oh, hallelujah, hallelujah. This is the one, this is the one, this is the one, with the trumpets. I think that's how you kind of have to look at it as. That's how I did. Like when I was, my husband came onto the scene, I was like, wow, all the lights are on him, like flashlight. This is the one. This is the one. Are you sure, Lord? Are you sure there's no one else? lights? No more lights? Going once? Going twice? I'm joking. But I'm saying the Lord will show himself, as you're praying, as you're looking for the one, so to speak. Also be ready to receive the one. It can only be one. It can't be many. So when you're getting all these rejections, try not to internalize it, as R.C. Blake said. Just don't internalize it and know that it's just pushing you towards the one. You're doing something right. You don't just want endless options. You just want a good one, a good choice, But yeah, let's keep going.
Powerful point right here.
Okay.
When I went back and retrieved my wife and said, hey, I made a mistake.
Retrieved.
My wife, tell this fella going about his business. That was based on, my wife is a beautiful woman. We've been together since we were in our 20s. Now I'm almost 60 years old. I'm 58.
Wow.
She's 55. I know she won't kill me for saying that. She's 55.
She doesn't look like it though.
No.
Your wife is beautiful.
I take very good care of her.
Yes, you do. Lady, how you doing, man?
Absolutely. She's
Yeah.
a beautiful woman. But watch this. I married her because I knew she fit my future. Anthony, I knew where I was going. And I knew she was the woman
I need to go there.
help me.
Helpmate.
So a brother has to detox. He got to get mentors, but he got to know where he's going. You
Gotta know.
should not
You gotta
even
know where
try
you're
to make a
going, yes.
relational decision
Right.
until you know who you're going to be.
Yes. You need to know where you're going so that when you're rejected, you know that that person's not going to go or can't take you to where God needs you to be. I love that, R.C. Blakes. Because I know my husband going somewhere. They're together, babe.
You don't even make a permanent relational choice based on who you are today. You need to make a relational decision based on where you know you're going. So this woman has to have more than the booty. She has to have the aptitude and the heart and the spirit.
Right.
And the vision to be able to take this journey with you. And watch this. When a woman does not, when a man's life is as purposed as yours, and a woman does not fit their future, God will break it up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He'll never let it work.
Absolutely. I think one of my philosophies now is I know my vision, I know where I'm going in life, and she has to align with that vision.
Yeah.
Correct?
And if she doesn't align with the vision, it's not Anthony saying no, it's my God-given assignment and vision that's saying
Oh,
no.
man.
So it's like I'm not saying no, it's like, hey, listen, you're just not aligned.
Correct.
You're still a queen.
Correct.
You're just not my queen.
Correct.
You're his queen.
Oh, I love that. And women, please do not interpret what he's saying. Like, if you don't align with this, it doesn't mean that you're about to be this, like he's about to coerce you into anything, or you're going to feel less than, like you don't have an opinion. No, this is a man who has a vision, and you need that. You need a man who knows where he's going, because where he's going involves you. Just because he's saying that, if you're not aligned, this, that, and other, in the alignment, when you are aligned, you are part and parcel of his purpose. So it can only be for good, So when you hear this, do not hear it as, oh, this person's going to control me. No. Because his purpose, what he has aligned for his future, involves a healthy wife, involves taking care of his wife and his children. That's healthy. But if you do not align, that just means you don't fit in that purpose. It doesn't mean that when you do fall in line, he's going to then control you. I hope you understand that.
Going here, God is taking me there. This is what I want to do. This is where I want to go. And if you're not aligned with that, that's cool.
Yeah.
I ain't got nothing negative to say about you. I said all the time about my ex-fiance. We weren't just aligned. But she's an amazing woman. If I see her today, talk to her today, man, she's a great woman. When she gets married, I'm a celebrator.
Come on, man.
Because she's a queen.
Come on.
And so when I think about, I wrote down some questions. I really want to try to get through these questions. So we talked about the men, right?
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about what are the effects of women who have broken consciousness.
Ooh. It's time for I love that he's asked that, and it's going to open a whole can of worms. But it's time for my nursery rhyme. It's time for my nursery rhyme. This is what happens. Like, I have nursery rhymes playing all the time. Wow, that rhymed. This is mommy brain. It takes so much work for the brain to just do what it need to do, you know. Let's breathe. Before he delves into that, I will leave that part of the video. I think it's left with about half. Yeah, we've gone about halfway. I'm gonna leave it here because it's nursery run time. I have to go pick up our son from the nursery. But I really enjoyed this, and I love that it was a slow and gradual build up to the conversation because, again, I do not know R.C. Blake's. It was a very candid conversation, and I love listening to men, you know, I love it. And this was a very healthy conversation. And I think what he's putting out there is healthy for the men, you know, and I'm here to also fill in the gaps so that as us women, we can also learn something from it as well. Yeah. We will continue. I'll be back with the part 2. This one for sure, I will do a part 2 because I thoroughly enjoyed it. But yeah, until next time, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well. Come join the family. We are going somewhere. You know, we're building that generation of marriageable women who fall back into the consciousness, the right consciousness, who are muting out the world and the society and what it's telling them to be, you know. So yeah, if that sounds like you, don't forget to come and join the family. But yeah, until next time, take care and God bless. Bye-bye.